Hello, everybody. Welcome to week 7. We're near the end here. Now, remember, week 7, this is the final kind of full week for the class, but we do have week 7.5. That's a couple of days after. So technically, we're still in class for about a week and a half. I think most of you have some familiarity with how these online classes go, and it's 7.5 weeks, not just 7. So keep that in mind. I don't want you checking out early. Definitely don't check out before you finish your final paper, which is due at the end of this week. Now, just a couple of logistical things here regarding the paper. Week 7.5 technically starts on Friday. So the discussion board for week 7, which opens today, is going to be officially closed on Thursday night. So it's going to be a little shorter. You're going to have a little less time here. So more on that in a couple minutes. Knowing that, though, I will say that your papers, your final research papers, they don't have to be due on Thursday night. I'd say since you're more comfortable with the whole, finish things Saturday night, I would give you until Saturday night to finish it. Now, I definitely highly recommend getting it done a lot earlier than Saturday. It's going to benefit you greatly, and frankly, to be a little selfish, it's going to benefit me too. These are long papers, and I really want to give each one the attention it deserves because I know you've all been working quite a bit on them. So the more time I have, I'd appreciate it. The better the better my notes to you are going to be. And I really want to dive deeply into these papers, and so I want to have as much time as I can. So I'd appreciate it if it could be a little early, but Saturday night is when it's going to be officially due. But remember, the discussion board, I really want to have those initial posts and everything in by Thursday. And it might make it a little tougher, especially since a number of you have been kind of a little late in the week when you post your stuff. Do everything you can to try to get things in early, okay? Remember, when the discussion board does close, I still will take your initial posts, but any replies after that I'm not going to be able to grade. So just keep that in mind. We just need to get everything done as quickly as we can this week. Now, on to the discussion board. The past couple weeks have been great. You've been talking about fallacies. I've really enjoyed that, and your discussion 2 weeks ago on induction was fantastic. It really was. So, kind of building on that, now that we know a little bit more about argumentation, I want to take things into kind of putting them into more of a practical context. And so, what you're going to do now is you're going to be researching. This is for the sake of the discussion board, some sort of topic. Hopefully something in the realm of science or science, medicine, research, something like that. And what you're going to do is you're going to think of your topic. You're going to find some sort of article on it. It can be, it can be on the virtual library, but it could also be something from National Geographic or Wired Magazine or the Wall Street Journal. Doesn't really matter. And so you're going to find this topic that covers, or find this article that covers your topic, and you're going to investigate and talk about basically who's the audience for it. Is this topic covered well in your article? Things of that nature. And then you're going to find another article that covers the same topic, and you're going to say basically, how does this other article kind of elaborate on this topic? Or basically, how does it address this topic maybe in a better way? Does it clarify any questions you may have? So you're going to do a little bit of compare and contrast of these two topics. So let me give you an example here. Hopefully this helps. Earlier today, I was reading about Mars and this push to colonize Mars. The biggest kind of mover and shaker in this is a Silicon Valley executive named Elon Musk. You may have heard of him or seen him on TV. And his goal is to eventually, within the next half century to a century, have 1 million people living on Mars. I don't know if that's likely or not. I don't know. But the first article was in NPR. And it was very general, talking about how he gave this speech down in Guadalajara, Mexico, about how they're going to make this happen and how we're going to use reusable rockets and we're going to put 40 to 100 people on a spacecraft at a time and right off to Mars, and we're going to set things up, and we're going to be able to use frozen water and turn that into methane. And, I don't fully understand how all this stuff works, but it was very kind of general information for somebody like me who majored in English in college and doesn't really know science very well. Then I chose another article on the same topic. This was from Wired magazine, and that was much more in depth. It talked more about the rockets and the boosters and how do you do this kind of thing, and is it feasible for this kind of thing to happen? Kind of the math behind it, the science behind it. And so it did answer some of the questions that the NPR article were raised because of the NPR article. So what I would do if I were you is I would choose this and I would say, okay, one article, the Wired article, was a little better. It was a little more in depth. It was a little bit more skeptical, whereas the NPR one was a little bit maybe more exciting and more kind of rah-rah about the whole thing. And so one, I think, was more for kind of the layperson like myself. That was the NPR one. The Wired one was something that I could definitely understand, but it had more insider information. And so what we're going to do is have you write about this. You're going to take your two articles and you're going to kind of compare and contrast. And then you're also going to say why you think it's interesting. So, I chose this because I think it's really cool. They've talked a lot about how this is going to be necessary just to keep the human species going for many centuries. If something bad happens on Earth, and thank heavens then that we'd be living on Mars. I don't know. But I just think the science behind it is really interesting. I think Musk himself is a very interesting character, so that's why I chose it. That's what you're going to be doing in the discussion boards this week. Something in the field of science, something in the field of medicine, cancer research, prosthetics, robotics, space travel, nanotechnology. It doesn't really matter to me. Choose something that you're interested in, something you may have seen on TV or maybe something that you've read about, and discuss it a little bit. And then comment on each other's and really, like every other week, see where things take you. Remember, though, this is important, but the most important thing for you to be doing this week is finishing up that research paper. So best of luck to you folks. I will have my office hours on Tuesday, as I usually do. If you have any questions, please email me or catch me on the office hours, and let's finish this semester strong. Thanks, folks.